A little want to talk a little bit about the hands. We all have hands and we all use our hands. And I have been noticing over the last few years that so many more of my massage clients are coming to me with challenges in their wrists and in their hands. And I think in yoga, it's a common theme that people struggle a little bit with yoga postures that are weight bearing on the hands. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the neurological connection between what happens in the motor cortex of the brain in relationship to your hands. So I dug out a really cool picture. This is from The Key Poses of Yoga. This is Ray Long's book. It's a great book on anatomy. And in it, it's like show and tell time, right? I feel like I have the book for little kids telling a story. But this is a very cool picture. This is called the homunculus, and it's a pretty common picture that you see in anatomy textbooks. This is just Ray Long's rendition of it, and it is a description, a visual description of how much brain power goes to different parts of the body. So for our perceptive capacities, we have this much brain power going to our hands. So if you did like a ratio of how much of your motor cortex is in charge of your hands, your feet, your tongue, these are really important sensory parts of the body that we have. So that's like a very clear indication of how important our hands are for our ability to perceive. And I don't think we all realize it, how much touch, your sensation of touch impacts your knowledge of the world. It's one of the few ways that all humans can speak with their hands. They can relate with their hands without having to verbalize. And then I wanted to read a little bit. This is from my Massage and Bodywork magazine, but there's an article about the hands in here. And I just wanted to read the last little paragraph here. Our hands are evolutionary marvels, hosting 29 major joints, 123 ligaments, 34 muscles, 48 nerve branches, and 30 arteries. And they are complex and flexible instruments evolved over 70 million years. Our hands are like an extension of our brain, and they are, I'm sorry, I can't see very well. My glasses are not strong enough. And they are such a highly intelligent sense organ that they can perceive and communicate without words, interpret others' feelings, and act as superhighways of neurological awareness and relaxation. So I think it's important for us to take care of our hands. And of course, me as a massage therapist, I think about this all the time. I'm constantly trying to take good care of my hands. But I think in our yoga practice, we often forget about our hands. And I try to do, stretches and nerve glides and things on the regular for you all. But today we're going to focus a little bit about how to work with the hands when we're weight bearing and how to have some extra sensory perception. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall and take a moment to close your eyes. Allow yourself to relax and think about the complexity of your hands. So place your hands on your legs, maybe face up for a moment. And first, let's just have this deep sense of gratitude for having hands. Not everybody has two hands. Not everybody has two hands that work. So let's really appreciate the ease of our lives because we have working hands. And then imagine all those ligaments, all those joints, all those muscles. Most of the muscles that move your fingers are in your forearms, but there's a lot of muscles in your wrists and the palms of your hands. Can you sense into the joint spaces? And feel free to turn your hands down or however feels comfortable for you. And then beyond marveling at the exquisite, intricate, complex development that and evolution that our hands are compared to other mammals, let's also sense the capacity to feel. So that, homunculus picture that you saw, how much of our brain power goes to the sensory awareness of our hands. our motor control of our hands. So that picture was both, motor control and sensory. So what do you perceive right now when your hands are where they are, either face up or face down? Can you relax your wrists, your hand joints, and notice what you perceive? And let's find a little line of connection from your hands to your shoulders. So you don't have to plug in so much, but just draw up so that you feel the connection into your shoulders. And by shoulders, I don't mean the tops of your shoulders. I kind of mean underneath, like in your armpits, in your rib cage. Can you sense the serratus muscle? This is a very big connection point to the control of your arms, the stability of your shoulders. And if you're not sure where your serratus are, just feel into the back side of your shoulder blades, underneath your shoulder blades. Feel the back ribs. Notice the rotator cuffs. Are you able to deeply relax your hands? Feel the deep length of your spine, that sense of aliveness and good posture. And then when you're ready, let's place our hands together at your heart. There's so many different mudras one can do with their fingers and their hands, which have energetic channels and pathways in the body. But let's just start here with our palms together. Can you feel your finger pads relax against each other? What part of you is touching each other? Is there a centering that comes from feeling your left and right hemispheres meet? All right, let's offer an intention for our practice, whatever it is that you need. And then release the hands. Okay. While you are sitting here for a moment, let's just shake out your hands. We're going to warm them up. Let me move back a little bit. We're going to warm them up in a little bit of a unique way. So let's just start by shaking out the hands and the wrists. It's amazing how much just releasing tension can make a big difference. And I want you to you can do this with your hands straight out if you want, or you can do it with your hands down. We're just going to close our fists and open our fists. So flicking, it's just called flicking. So just find some flicking, open up your chest. So try not to round your spine when you do this. See if you can stay aligned, breathing. And chances are you're already getting a little fatigued, and that's okay. And you might notice that you start slowing, that it's hard to go fast. The fast twitch muscle fibers might fatigue faster than your slow twitch muscle fibers. Notice if your hands are equal in their effort. Okay, and then shake that out again. Take a deep breath, reach the arms up, and then exhale and relax. Come up to stand. Okay. And before, we're going to come down onto the ground like we always do, but just notice here if you have a sense of tingly aliveness in the hands. Find your breath. All right, now with closed fists, let's roll the wrists some. Just warming up. Kind of like we roll the ankles all the time to warm up our feet. Let's roll the wrists. And then interlace the hands. Press the palms out in front of you and lift the arms straight up in the air. Find the extension in your body. Breathe deeply. And then release your arms, and let's do it again. So flip your fingers opposite to the other side and find that sense of extension. So by opposite, I mean, you might start with your fingers this way and then move to have your fingers interlace a different way. Okay. Breathing. All right. and exhale and relax. Let's go ahead and interlace your fingers behind your back, whichever way you want. Open across your chest, bend your knees, and go ahead and reach your arms away from your spine, wherever they go. Relax your neck, soften. Deep inhales and exhales. And then relax and melt your hands. Let your hands soften. You can shake them out again. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is growing longer and taller. Exhale and melt back down. And let's come onto the floor, onto your back, knees into your chest. Open up your knees wide and then bring them back in. Okay, a couple of times. Open your knees and bring them back in. Just feeling some range of motion in your hips. Breathing well. And then let's starfish our body open. Now let's stay here for a moment, so don't move yet to a flexion. Feel the extension and see if you can stretch from your navel to your hands, all the way through to your fingertips. And where along that line do you kind of lose your connection? Is there any missing links? And let's try to take this navel radiation a little bit differently. So navel stretching just to your right arm. Can you find that connection from your belly button all the way through your chest, your ribs, your armpit, into your arm, through your elbow, your wrist joint out into your fingers? And then relax that and change sides, left side. So navel stretching out into your fingertips. Find anywhere along that line that you might be losing connection, and then relax that. Let's try the right leg. So relax your hands on the floor, soften completely. Move your awareness into your navel down to your right leg, stretching and lengthening, and then come back in and move to your left leg. So this is subtle stuff here. Just see what you find, and then relax back in. Let's take right arm and left leg. Find that cross line in the body of extending out and then relaxing back in. And then find your left arm and your right leg, extending out from your center out to those limbs and back in. Okay, let's move both arms. Stretch from your navel out to your hands and see if you can keep this extension. Stay in your breath. Don't hold your breath. Keep breathing as you lengthen from your navel to your fingertips. Spread your fingertip pads so that the backs, your nails, your fingernails touch the ground. And then melt and relax. And stretch your arms straight out to the sides now. And feel your legs can be relaxed. Heart stretching, so your center is no longer your navel, it's now your sternum, all the way out to your fingertips. Can you already feel some fascia or some nerves? And then relax and melt that. Cross one arm over the other, grab onto your opposite shoulder, bend your knees for a moment. Find the breath, relax your collarbones, and then inhale, open your arms wide like you're holding all the world in your hands. Exhale, cross over to the other side. Okay. Inhale, starfish your body out, open your limbs up. Exhale, knees into your chest, round the spine. One more time. Get expansive, all limbs out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll your wrists and your ankles. Touch into the edges of your body. And then exhale and draw the knees in. Roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. If we're working with this quality of yielding, which I know you all have worked with me with yielding, but it's the opposite of collapse. It's the opposite of propping yourself off the earth. It's that middle way where we feel relationship of rooting and rising. And our hands, whenever they're touching the floor, are in this zone of yielding. So let's place our hands down and try not to just immediately bear your weight. See if you can be sensitive. Feel the texture of your mat. Feel the hardness of the floor or the softness of the carpet, whatever you have below you. Ground into that. Let your hands yield deeply into the earth. Notice where you like to put weight. Are you an outer wrist weight person? That's typical, where we tend to lean into the outer wrist. Roll the pads of your knuckles. So where your base knuckles are in your fingers. Start with your pinky finger and roll into each of those knuckles and see if you can ground each knuckle individually into the ground. And notice which ones do you have connection with and which ones are like totally foreign to you to try to find, including your thumbs. So find the thumb bases as well. Now notice your wrinkles in your wrist. Do you want to turn your hands out or in? Find the evenness across those wrinkles in your wrist, and then ground easily, gently. We're not forcing ourselves into the earth, we're melting a little bit, and bear more weight into your left, bend your elbow, and then push off that left hand, bear weight into the right. Make sure your elbow is receiving, your shoulder is receiving, so we're not locking our joints and bouncing from one hand to another, but we're melting shoulder and elbow and wrist joints so that our hands can really perceive the ground. Back and forth. All right, now find the sense of steadiness again. Suck up the center of the palms a little bit so that there's some effort, there's some work in the wrist muscles. Let's start moving through some cat-cows. Arching around the spine, take yourself into awareness. When you round the spine, how do your hands connect to the earth? When you arch the spine, what is the change of pressure and where does pressure go in your hands? See if you can feel that your finger pads have sensation, but we're not gripping and white knuckling or white nailing. It really should be called, because our fingernails are what turn white. See if you can find a sense of ease. Feel free to move the spine any way you want to move the spine. And then stretch back towards child's pose. When you're ready, hands coming out, and turn your palms up. Flip your hands open. Feel that external rotation all the way from the shoulders. Find comfort. So whatever position your knees want to be in, feel a sense of connection from your ribs to your hands. Find your breath. Relax your hands. And then let's flip the palms over, walk the hands over to one side. And once again, feel that sense of connection from your finger pads all the way through your hand, your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, your ribs, all the way down to your sit bone. Can you find that line? Relax the neck. And then come back to center and inch over to the other side. So when you think about how sensory your hands are, think about your favorite things to touch. Maybe it's your dog or your cat's fur. And do you like soft textures? Do you like bumpy textures? Do you like velvet? Do you like something smooth? Does the skin feel nice under your hands? You know, what are your favorite things to touch? And when you imagine touching your favorite things, whether they be smooth or rough or anything, what comes of that pleasure? It's pleasurable to touch things. We connect. Has come back up onto all fours. Inhale, reach that arm up into the sky. Exhale, slide that shoulder down. Feel the shoulder blades. So the space between the shoulder blades open up, but see if you can sense into the rib cage as well. Finding the breath. And then inhale, reach that arm to the sky, melt the hand, let it be so relaxed, floppy. Inhale, melt the hand, let it be floppy, open the chest, slide that arm underneath you, gaze toward the floor. Feel your mat, feel the texture of your mat. Move your shoulders away from your ears. You know, our hands give us so much information that we process constantly, and we don't even realize we do it. And then, of course, our hands are our ways of communicating with other people. Think about when you hug someone you love, or you shake someone's hand, or you put your hand on someone's back. There's so many ways that our touch with our hands can communicate trust and love and support, companionship, friendship. There's so many ways our hands both perceive and offer emotional states. Reach that arm up in the air. Exhale, place the hand down onto the ground. Now to find the serratus, which is a muscle that helps us stabilize our wrists, hug the hands not only toward each other, but a little bit of a push. So now our yield, find the yield, and then have a little bit of a push. So a yield, push, extend kind of feeling. So sometimes we have to give to the earth first, and then we push off the earth and we can reach from that place. So find a little bit of that. Yield 2 hands, push 2 hands, and reach through the spine. When we find that push and reach, the muscles, so stay there for a moment so you can feel what's working in your torso to have this action happen. Are your hands able to be grounded in all 4 corners? Now hug the hands toward each other on the mat a little bit and see what lights up in the shoulder blade region, in the sides of your ribs. Your serratus muscle attaches onto the inner rim of your shoulder blade, and it goes underneath your shoulder blade. So it's on the anterior surface of the shoulder blade, in between the shoulder blades and the ribs. And then it attaches onto your ribs like a serrated edge knife in between your ribs. So it's a very important, that's why it's called serratus. It's a very important muscle that we push with. So when you feel yourself push off the earth, this is the serratus that does this. And when we hug the hands toward each other, we seal that deal up. So can you feel the stable forces here? Let's turn this into dog pose. When you come up, notice if you lose your hands. If you get lazy in your hands and your knuckles come off the earth, we lose our push. We lose our yield, push, reach. So yield the full hand and then push off the hand and reach. Feel the yield, push, reach. And then hug the hands toward each other on the mat. Stay grounded through those index finger mounds and feel the stability that comes when we are stable in our hands. Once you have the pose, can you sense the floor? Can you sense the textures of your mat? Can you sense the firmness below the mat, below the rug? Find your breath. Okay, let's walk our feet forward again. Fold in half. Shake your shoulders, shake your hips, shake your head. And then rise. Halfway lift. You can use blocks if you want. Extending the spine. Anytime our hands are on something, we are sensing, but we can also get lazy and lean. So let's be so lighthearted, like we're trying to perceive through our hands. Relax and melt. Fold again. This time, rise up. Bring your hands out to the sides. So there's so many different ways of doing nerve glides. I'll teach you a new one. I don't think I've taught this one before. Make like little beaks, like little pelican beaks with your fingers. So your thumb and your fingers kind of gather to swoop together, forming little beaks with your hands. And then open the chest so the beaks come down. Find your breath. Lift one ear up toward the sky. Lift another ear up toward the sky. Just kind of go back and forth. Okay, now we're going to lift our beaks up. Lift your beaks toward the sky and keep moving the ears. Okay, and then spread your palms out like you're trying to push 2 walls away. Push, yield, push, reach. Feel the reach through your collarbones. And then relax. Shake out your hands. Shaking is such a good thing. It releases a lot of tension that creeps up from all the typing that we do, from all the clenching in our hands that we do. A lot of times we might find that our hands are clenched when we are stressed. Okay, now feel into the space. Feel the tingly in your palms. Turn your palms open. Let the soles of your palms, so the center of your palm, be deeply relaxed. Okay, take a deep breath in. Arms coming up. Cactus the arms open. Open the chest up. Exhale and round it. Make a interlace your fingers. Make a light, nice, loose double hand fist. And stretch your hands away. Stretch your shoulder blades. Inhale, lift up. Our hands are facing down. Palms are facing down. Exhale and release and melt. Come floating back down to the floor. Shake your hips, shake your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Lightness on the block. So can your hands perceive texture, weight, presence? Your hands are very perceptive about how much weight bearing you're doing, where your balance is out. Okay, let's take our right foot back, our left foot forward. So come into a lunge backwards from the direction we normally do first. Bend your knee and let's start to move. So hands super light so that you can perceive the sensation in your hands as you go back and forth. Let's come into a lunge. Let's rise up. You all have done this before. We'll start with some platter hands just so we invigorate those shoulder blades. Open the hands up. Imagine some weight. Put a rock in each hand so that there's some weight in your palms, and let your shoulders feel the support of that weight. Can you feel the backside of your shoulder blades open and strengthen a bit here? And then when you're ready, reach the arms up. Palms are so soft. Let your fingers be very melty. Think like the way you see a dancer's hands look, that makes you feel like they're relaxed instead of, this taut strain in our hands. Extend upwards, reach, see if you can reach from your heart through your fingertips up into the sky. Big circle around, hands down onto the left leg or right leg comes forward. Relax. Inhale, halfway lift. So light, whatever you're touching, hands, floor, legs, floor, or blocks. Light, light, light. Step the other foot back. Our right foot is forward. Our left foot is back. Hands are on the blocks or the floor, feeling a sense of softness. We're stabilizing with the rest of our body. So notice, lean into your hands now. Put your weight down in your hands. And notice what happens in your shoulders, your neck, the strain at your thumbs or your wrists. And be light and notice not only where you become more self-supporting, but also what is your perceptive capacity in your hands when you have lightness versus when you are just bearing weight down. Sometimes lightness gives us a different sensation capacity. Let's go ahead and straighten and bend the front knee. Breathe as you go. And then find a lunge. And once again, come into those platter arms. The fingers are so relaxed. The palms are relaxed. A little bit of weight in there. When you weight your hands, try not to weight the lumbar spine. So don't let the rocks in your hands turn into a compression in the lumbar spine. See if you can still light up the spine, reaching through the crown. The weight of the hands comes into the shoulder blades, letting them move down the back a little bit. Open your platters up. Integrate through your ribs. The hands are soft. And then when you're ready, you can reach those arms gently through your hands. And notice, stretch through your fingers, which is often a way we do our practice, just to really extend through our fingertips, which is awesome. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but notice the difference when you relax the hands. Is it a cue to somewhere else in your body to relax? So we can use our hands if we need strength, invigoration, like wake up body, then stretch your hands. Give them a lot of energy. If you're stressed and you need to relax, try relaxing your hands and see if there's a ripple effect through your body. Place the hands down onto the ground now. Step back to dog pose. Extending through the spine. Feel free to move around with your feet, anything that feels good. And then find that yield, push, reach. Again, what does it feel like to yield two hands? The elbows and shoulders recede. Push off the floor. Feel the reach through your body. Try not to lose the yield as you reach. All right, let's come forward into a plank. Same rules apply. How are the wrinkles in your wrists? Are you able to weight bear evenly? Can you feel the pads of your fingers? Can you roll the skin of your fingers toward the thumbs so we're not rolled out? Can you feel the hugging of the hands toward the midline? Feel your serratus kick in to support those wrists. Breathe deeply into your core so the stabilization happens from the center body as much as from the hands. You can put your knees down onto the ground and come to rest on the belly. Come into Sphinx pose. Elbows are under the shoulders or a little bit forward. Take your palms down to the ground again. So a lot of times we might, want the desire to open our hands up. So let's try that for a moment. Lift your palms toward the sky. Feel the external rotation in your arm bones, the upper arm bones in the shoulders. Let's enjoy that. Stay there and see what it feels like to not let your shoulders move, but just turn your palms down. It's like wringing out a sponge. Your shoulders are going in one direction, the upper arm bones are going in one direction, and your forearms are going in another direction. So forearms pronate, roll the skin of your fingers toward your index fingers. Feel your upper arm bones relax, open. Exhale and melt. Now you probably forgot about the rest of your body. So let's roll the shoulders back, do a couple shoulder rolls. Take your fingertips a little closer to your torso. Inhale and rise up. All the things you know. Relax your neck. Exhale and come back down. Last one we'll do here. Come up onto spider fingers. So pads of your fingers, not fingertips, but the finger pads come down onto the earth. Inhale and rise up. Lift up the center of your palms. Drop those serratus deep into engagement. Open the chest. Exhale and melt. Come back down. Come up back onto all fours. Notice the transitions. When you push yourself up onto all fours, do you lean into the outer wrist? Can you feel the grounding of your hands? Remember that homunculus. Give so much of the motor cortex of your brain is perceiving what your hands are feeling and are giving a lot of feedback to also being able to motor control your hands. You have such fine motor control. We can untie knots in jewelry. We can do crazy little tiny things with our hands, very intricate work. So feel into that capacity of being able to sense the movement of your fingers. Come to dog pose when you're ready. Lengthen through your spine. Relax your skull. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. Remember that picture, your tongue takes up a lot of space in that motor cortex. Did you remember seeing that guy's tongue? Relax your tongue. See if you can sense into the yielding of hands and feet. Yield, push, reach. Lift your right leg up in the air. Find your breath and bring that foot through. Lightness. See if you can feel the transitions of what your hands end up doing. Turn and open up to the right side of your mat, or to the long edge of your mat. Right foot is coming out. So imagine when you bring your hands out. So, we can start with our palms up. If we want to just sense into that expansion from your sternum all the way through to the hands, you can even drop your fingers down for a little bit more nerve glide. And then once you kind of feel into that, open the chest, flip just your palms over, and imagine that you have raindrops cascading like they fall off a plant. Let the raindrops fall down your shoulders all the way off your fingertips. So think of like Michelangelo's hands in the I think it's the Sistine Chapel, right? That sense of that they're not rigid, that there's some fluidity in your palms, in your fingers. Find your breath. That doesn't mean we slump our shoulders. So still find those serratus. See if you can find the muscles that hold your arms out so that your hands can be soft. Inhale, reach the arm up to the sky, reverse your warrior. Hands are still soft, perceive. And then place your elbow on your knee and stretch yourself open into a crescent lunge. I think I just got the name of that pose wrong. It's not crescent lunge, it's a side lunge, side angle pose. See if you can feel into the length. Open up all the way to your fingers. And now feel the stretch all the way through to your fingertips. Find that connection that we did in the beginning of class. Navel to the hand. Navel to the hand in the air. Navel to the foot on the ground. Full length in the side of your body. All right, let's go ahead and straighten that leg back up. Turn your feet, come to Virabhadrasana on the other side. So turning to the left. Now remember, your pose can be high like this. You don't have to go really deeply into your lunge. Protect your hips, your knees, your SI joints. Maybe you want to start with a little plattering of the hands so you can get access to the backside of your shoulder blades. Maybe you want to stretch your arms up with your palms facing the sky first so you can feel that external rotation of the shoulders instead of rolling the shoulders forward. Roll the shoulders back and plug in to those side ribs. Relax the hands. Roll just the hands down. Let everything else be very supportive. Fingertips. So you're having those little beads of water, raindrops falling off your fingertips. Finding the breath. When you're ready, reach into a reverse warrior. Same. Reach into your fingertips, but can you have both the yield, push, reach? And when you go into that reach, can the reach be filled with sensitivity? Sometimes rigidity in our muscles makes us lose our sensitivity. So how do you stretch into your hand without losing the sensitivity? Okay, you can straighten your knee for a moment and then rebend. Place the elbow down, both shoulders away from the ears. Open the collarbones up. Yield your feet. Yield, push, reach. Maybe the reach is through your spine at first. Then you can find your hand coming up in the air. Lightness, softness, perception in your fingertips. What are you sensing? Feel into the full length. Navel stretching to fingertip. Where's the missing chains? Navel stretching down the back heel. Where are the missing chains? Stay in the breath. Stay in the yield, push, and reach. Stay in the soft hands. All right, come back up. Let's find the front of your mat. Go ahead, and when you come back to dog pose, feel those transitions. Where are your hands? Lift your left leg up in the air, extend through your spine. Place your foot down onto the ground. Yield, push, reach. Where's your breath? Softer joints, unlock your joints. Notice all those joints in your hands. Can you unlock? Can you feel the yielding and the grounding while still unlocking? What are you sensing below your mat? What are you feeling on your mat? What do you feel below your mat? Come forward into a plank. Hug to the midline. Remember those stabilizing forces. Let the skin of your fingers roll toward your index fingers. Activate your serratus. And then let's come down. And come back to child's pose for a moment. Take your arms out in front of you. Breathing deeply. Soft hands. You can relax your hands. Full breaths. Okay, forearms are going to come onto the mat. We're going to come first into dolphin pose and then come down into a forearm plank. If you have trouble, so sit up for a moment. If you have trouble with the external rotation of the arm bones, so we want the arm bones rolling out, but then we want the forearms rolling in. So if this action of the forearms rolling in makes your upper arm bone roll in, then it's better to keep the forearms, the radius stacked over the ulna, so the forearms are stacked instead of pronating, okay? So you get to decide where you want to be. If you're going to be stacked, maybe you have a block between your hands, okay? So experiment with what's the best position for your forearms to support the openness of your shoulders, and then spread out the hands. Try not to white knuckle spread, so we're not going so broad that we notice this. So everybody spread your hands as wide as they will go, and notice, first of all, it's really hard to yield, right? That's one thing, but there's strain, there's tension, and your joint spaces, when you weight bear on that, will have extra burden. So soften that up. We want spread out hands without white knuckled hands. Yield, push, and reach. Lift your hips up. Once you're up there, try it again. Can your fullness of your finger pads to your elbows find the ground? Where is all your weight going? Is it into your elbows? Can you spread across your forearm? Can you spread across the palms? Can you roll? If your hands are on the ground, roll the skin of your fingers toward your index fingers. If your hands are on a block, see if you can find even weight across the finger pads, or the knuckle pads, I should say. Now find your serratus. Hug your forearms to each other on the mat. See the engagement on your ribs. Lift your femur bones. Yield, push, and reach. How is your breath? Are you taking tension weirdly in your hands? what would happen if you yielded them down and then tried to find balance of stability and ease in your hands? Okay, let's walk our feet back, come into a forearm plank. So maybe your hands need to face each other. Maybe your hands are on the floor. What's stabilizing here? Hug to the midline with your forearms. Core is deeply engaged. Find the breath. Yield, push, and reach. All right, come back down. Come all the way to the ground. Release your arms down at your sides. Let your arms internally rotate. So palms are facing up toward the sky. Let the shoulders roll and relax. Breathing deeply here. Pick up your feet and let's windshield wiper your knees left and right. All right, we're going to come into Cobra Pose, but perhaps interlacing your fingers behind your back is not your best option. Maybe it is your best option. So you can have your hands next to you or interlaced. Take a deep breath in and lift everything up. If you always interlace the same way, try interlacing your hands a different way. Or let's do twice. We'll do once one way and then exhale and come back down. And we'll repeat it and interlace your fingers the opposite way. So notice, our fingers are very wise. If this is a pathway not traveled well in your body, notice what the nervous system feedback loop is. Does it feel weird? What's the heightened sensation? Because it's not a neural pathway you take very often. And then relax. Turn your head, pick up your feet, and windshield wiper your knees. Come back to child's pose, perhaps all fours on the way there. Okay, so just let your spine loosen and breathe. All right, now come to sit for a moment. We're just going to do a couple of nervous system things with our hands. So you can sit on your shins or sit cross-legged, however you want. So a lot of times, we lose, if you are a piano player or like if you play an instrument, I don't know who plays, I don't play an instrument, but if you do, you probably have a lot of control over your fingers. So we're going to start this, and this might not work for you. This might be very difficult, and try it anyway. So we're going to start with our hands, palms out, and then we're going to roll one finger in, and then roll the hand out. And then go the opposite direction and roll it out. And you can, take this fast or you can take it slow. So one finger in at a time, and then opening it back up, and then start at the other side and open it back up. And they can roll into each other. The movements can roll into itself. So that's a fun one to try. This one's harder. Okay, so have your fists gentle, not like squeezed fists, but a nice relaxed fist. And have your index finger in one side and your thumb in the other. Okay, and then it's hard. Switch. Okay, switch. And this is way more difficult than it seems at first. So you want the index finger, the thumbs, for me, the thumbs always want to both stick out. So it's easier if you go slow and then go to the opposite. My thumb always wants to stay out. Okay. Notice if it's easier on one side, like my right thumb just always wants to follow my left thumb. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. So back to, while you do that, back to this homunculus picture. Oh, I lost the picture. Look at how much control your hands have. So you just have to teach your brain that remember this, right? So these skills are developable. Okay, and then relax. Okay, shake out your hands. Now we are going to sit here for just a moment. We're not quite done with the asana, but we're going to sit cross-legged. So have support underneath you. make it so that you're comfortable. And we're going to practice this very simple mudra of index fingers and thumbs together, palms facing up on your knees or on your thighs. Make sure your hands are super relaxed, okay? There's definitely ways where we do this with strong action in our hands. There's ways that we have, use our fingers for pranayama, but this is just a simple mudra. A mudra is just a finger hand placement that brings an energetic connection in the body. So lift up through your spine, find that sense of good posture, and just notice. You can bring your elbows back, you can slide your hands further away from your knees, find a place that's comfortable, and just notice the simplicity of your thumb and your index finger gently touching. Just close your eyes and let your breath come. Notice if your hands are fatigued at all, if they feel like they got a little workout, if they feel a little more awake or energized than they sometimes do. What do you sense when your index fingers and thumbs touch? There's many, many more mudras to be had. There's, you can do chants on fingers. You can do pranayama where you count, moving thumbs to opposite fingers. There's lots of ways to use your fingers in your yoga practice, but this is just the simplest of mudras to experience the sense of concentration. The index finger and thumb connection is very brain concentrating mudra. So if you need focus, this is a great way to meditate. Okay, let's relax the hands. Let's come onto our back. Finding your breath. Roll your wrists for a moment. You can have them with closed fists or open fists. And then one more time, interlace your fingers the weird way. Stretch your palms up over your head and lengthen your legs, stretching through your sides. And then release. Put the fingers the regular way. And then release. Let's go ahead and bring the knees into the chest. We're going to come into reverse pigeon pose. So put your right foot on your left knee and decide how the interlacing of your hands are going to be. Do you want to be behind your thigh? Do you want to be in front of your shin? Do you always interclasp your hands whenever you're interclasping? Do you go the same way? So this is an easy way to take the path less traveled in the body, is to try to remember whenever we're doing interclasped hands in our practice to bring them in a way that's not comfortable for you, that's not typical for you. And then relax. Change sides. Put your left foot on top of your right knee. Interclasp your hands whichever way you want. If you want some extra practice with the unfamiliar way, then do that again. If you just want some balance, then take it the way you normally feel. Soft shoulders. Relax the spine. Breathe into the ease of the hip. go ahead and relax. Roll over onto your side. One last stretch we're going to do for the hands. If you're not comfortable on your knees, you can do this standing with your hands on a table or something like that. But if you're comfortable in Virasana for a moment, let's start with your fingertips, your palms facing down, your fingertips facing toward you. Come off your heels. So lean forward a little bit and then just start to lean back to whatever place your body says is okay. Spread the hands, yield, push, and reach. You can lean back a little bit. You can curl your toes under, whatever's going to help you. And notice if you're too relaxed in your hands, your knuckles are going to lift off the floor. So have a little yielding of your full hand. Open up your collarbones, spread them wide. Okay, and then relax. And you can do this just with your fingers too. You know, you can have your palms off the floor and just stretch your fingers back. And then shake out, and we're going to go the opposite direction. So this is a doozy for a lot of people. So now our palms are going to be face up. Our fingertips are going to be facing toward our knees. And we're going to start with our elbows, out to the sides. But then I want you to turn the eyes of the elbows forward and try not to let your hands spin so that your fingertips are starting to face each other. Keep the hands with their fingertips facing the knees. Open up the chest. Sometimes I stick something to sit on, like blocks underneath me. So you just kind of find whatever. And if it's too much on your back to be in that position, you can do this standing with your hands on a wall or hands on a piece of furniture. Eyes of the elbows open. Lift and open your collarbones. Yield a little bit. Yield the backs of the hands. Push and reach. And then relax. Okay, shake, shake, shake. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and find our way back down onto the ground. Okay. Grab onto your right wrist with your left hand and give it a squeeze. You can shake your hand a little bit with that stability and squeeze. And then change, give your right hand around your left wrist, give it a squeeze and a little shake. And then the last movement we're going to do before we twist and go to Shavasana is hands are up in the air, gentle fists, you can do this with open hands or fists, really, but very gentle fists. And we're going to, go sideways. So move your thumbs toward the wall, where your feet are toward your feet and then away from your feet. So we're not going in and out toward the midline. We're just on the same plane as your forearms, just going back and forth. All right, and then relax your arms completely. Lift up your hips, scooch them right, knees up, and drop them left. Open up the chest, relax and breathe. Soften your hands. Okay, and now lift your knees up. Scoot your hips the other way, knees up toward the chest, drop them over right. Take some deep breaths. All right, as we come into Shavasana, perhaps I don't like the way blocks feel as much as blankets. So if you have two blankets, I want you to use your blankets. If this is comfortable, you can ignore me. But if it's comfortable, put a blanket underneath each hand so that your wrists and your hands are slightly elevated, and you just have to get the angles of your blankets just right. Drop your shoulders away from the ears, and of course you can ignore me if you don't want to do this way. Any way you want to be in Shavasana is awesome. Okay, so if you want to have your arms out and overhead or down on your belly or anywhere, really anywhere is fine. But a little bit of elevation, kind of letting the blood that, we did a lot with the wrists and hands. So you can let some of that tension, blood flow, lymph flow drain toward the heart. Notice if your hands feel really warm. And as your hands soften here, as you enter Shavasana, they may curl a little bit, and that's totally fine. Can you perceive the palms as another chakra in your body? So just like you have your 7 main energy centers along your spine, we definitely have an extra energy center in our palms. See what it feels like to be aware of the energy in the palms of your hands. Melt your body. Let's begin to breathe deeply again. Feel into the way your breath makes you feel in your whole body. Imagine your breath touching into your palms. Can you imagine that your hands are not only deeply connected to the brain, but they're also deeply connected to the heart? ahead and find movement rolling onto your side eventually, but take your time. You can stretch your arms overhead or bring your knees into your chest or any movement that feels really nice. Let's try 3 different hand positions first. So, first, place your hands over your own heart or anywhere in your body that you would like to give some love to. Maybe you have an injury or somewhere that needs some extra care. And feel the warmth, the transmission of energy, capacity to feel and to be felt. Let's place our hands together at our heart for our traditional mudra. This is a deep sense of centering. Can you feel this centering? Last position, open your hands out, either resting on your knees or higher, whichever feels good, and both give and receive. Offer your energy out through your hands and receive through your hands. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day.